This is an excellent opportunity for me because I love to get questions and have discussions, but I want to give you some information about me first, and I greatly appreciate your participation in this program. You have a decision to make in a very short period of time. For those of you that haven't met me, my name is Mike Sherzan. Funny story, I got introduced as Gary Sherzan at one of the conventions, and that's happened before. Gary is my brother, and Gary was quite active in politics. As a matter of fact, my whole family, I come from a Democratic family. I grew up in Des Moines on the east side near the fairgrounds, and I have two brothers that actually got elected to office. Richard, who served in Vietnam and was wounded and was awarded the Bronze Star, came back and ran for Iowa House and won by 22 votes. Gary also served in the 90s, a number of years, and ultimately became Polk County Chair. My background, I went to the University of Iowa, graduated from Dowling in Des Moines, went to the University of Iowa, grew up in a family of actually 4 kids, my sister, and 3 of us, my 2 brothers and I. But I went to the University of Iowa, got my undergraduate degree in 1973, and had an issue really during my junior year. My father passed away. My mother had to apply for survivor benefits to help me get through college, which she did, and that laid the groundwork for what I ultimately did in my life. When I got out of college, though, I got into politics. My father was very much a believer in the idea of public service. Back in the 60s, I think many of you recall, public service was an honorable thing. Unfortunately, in the present day, it's gotten a bad rap for some good reason occasionally. But back then, President Kennedy, really influenced my life. What he did, what he felt, how he believed in public service. And as I said, when I got out of college at the University of Iowa, December of '73, I accelerated my hours to get there because of the expense. I got a job as a press secretary for a guy that ran for governor from western part of the state by the name of Jim Shaven. Went on from there to get into business for over 36 years. Ultimately ran my own firm with the help of a large number of people, became successful. We all did. And that company still exists in West Des Moines. It's in the financial services business, and it's an insurance agency, and they help people with planning for their future, college education, retirement, a number of things that are trying to help people deal with issues that they have in their financial future. So I've been very fortunate. When I left last October to pursue this office, I actually was fortunate enough to have women account for about 60% of that particular management group, and the chairwoman of the board and the CEO is now in place running that firm, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to do this full time. So that's my business background. What my belief system is, it's not only based on my business, but the fundamental things that I believe in and try to accomplish in my political life and my life outside of politics are all based on my experience growing up here in Iowa and central Iowa in this community. I've been outside the state only one time. My wife and I, Susan of 38 years, lived in Texas for a while, but we moved back, and it's the smartest thing I ever did. I'll tell you. We have 3 grown children, all of which graduated college, and I understand college debt very well because I had to pay a lot of it. But they did exceedingly well in school. 2 of them are educators. One of them has a master's degree from Drake, and my son is also of counsel. He got a scholarship to Drake, and I'm very proud of them. We've got 6 grandchildren, and we're about to have 7. So that's a success story, something I call the American dream. I've actually lived it. We used to believe in that in this country, and I've actually been able to live it. And that's what I want to help, particularly the young people in the state of Iowa, to believe that there is opportunity out there if you can find people that will help you and work with you. But there's some barriers to that right now. And you know, once I got out of business here in the past 8 months, I announced in December that I'm running for this office. It isn't the first time I thought about doing it, but I thought it was an opportunity to present some of the things that I believe in to the voters of the 3rd District. And as I mentioned, everything that I've experienced, everything I've done as a Democrat and believed in, I'm bringing to the table here. And I'm asking you for a job, is what I'm doing. I mean, I'm applying for a job. It's not, and don't misunderstand me. Everything that I do and say is not oriented toward business. It's absolutely not. But you have to decide for yourself whether I'm somebody that's good enough to represent you. And you have to make that judgment between me and those other 2 capable individuals, good Iowans, good Democrats, and you have to judge why that is. You would support one over the other. And that's a very big responsibility, and I understand that. However, I'm going to give you my bias, which is my ideas on why I stand for what I stand for, and why you should support me in this upcoming June 7th primary. Number 1, I'm 64 years old. Now that doesn't mean a lot, it means I'm just older than those guys are. And age by itself, I don't know, I've met some very smart 20-year-olds, and 2 of them, they're in their 20s, I believe. 2 of them are standing back there on my staff. Julianne Clampy, she's our political director, and Scott Crowley, he's our finance director. And these people I met, I've just gotten to know them in the last 6-8 months. They're extremely high quality individuals, and that's why they're working with me. Not because they're young, but they're very bright, and they have a great future, just like a lot of people you know out there. So the opportunity that they're going to have is unlimited. And other people that I meet, students that I meet, have to have that positive attitude. So first of all, we have to really turn this country around with an attitude that the American dream isn't dead. And the problem with that is you're seeing so much to the opposite in the presidential campaign. So what do I stand for? I'll give you an outline of that. Economic justice is extremely important to me. And what do I mean by that? Economic justice means the taxation system in this country. It means being able to have a wage that is livable. I'm a supporter of $15 an hour minimum wage increase. If I have to negotiate, I would be willing to go 3 years phase in for that, but it's a strong issue with me. Getting the Republicans and the Tea Partiers to agree with that is extremely difficult, but that's an important issue to me. As important, if not more, quite frankly, and you've seen some of this you've seen some of my ads or my mailers, are equal pay for women. Many of you heard this story, but I want to reiterate it for those of you who haven't. I mentioned my business background. I grew up, as I said, in central Iowa, and I was fortunate enough to be a middle manager for a firm right downtown Des Moines that had a lot of employees. And one of them, since I was growing a department within that firm, one of them happened to be pregnant and had been there for a number of years, and she was very good at her job, and I wanted to promote her to help me grow my department. So I went into the CEO's office, corner office on the 2nd floor, Locust Street, downtown Des Moines. And I said, listen, her name was Wanda, and I said, Wanda is very good, I've talked to her, we've had discussions, I need help, please help, can I advance her to a position of manager of this department to work with me, because I traveled a lot. And he put his arm around me, he said, Mike, you got to understand, women that are pregnant, all they're going to do is have that baby and they're going to leave. And so this was 1990, and I'm looking out the window on the 2nd floor, and my mind, I could feel myself boiling. All I wanted to do was throw him out the window. That urge, very much, it's like, you know, when you get of cold chill was very strong. And those types of things have guided me in my life. My parents didn't teach me to feel that way about anyone. That anybody by themselves were not equal to me, no matter what stature I made in life. So, fortunate enough, I was able to hire that woman. She stayed with me for a number of years, and she retired and had a family, which was great. I've had a number of people like that in my career that have helped me in my life. So equal pay isn't just a theory with me. It's not something that I think about or read about, or, you know, it's like riding a bicycle. Would you like to read about riding a bicycle, or would you rather ride a bicycle in your life? And that's the difference between myself and my friends who are running against me. All my life, I participated in things that affect my life. Taxation, for example. People talk about fair taxation in this country. What does it mean? Well, to me it means I had to take money out of people's income, and when they hit $118,000 a year, guess what happens? $118,500 a year, the last 2 years, they get a raise. They don't have to pay Social Security anymore. That's over. So when you get up to 250, $500,000, $1 million, you just keep going. You got a big raise there. So we understand in this room, I believe, Democrats do, that is not a fair tax system. That's got to change, and I'll do everything I can with your help and your vote to change it. The third thing about that, in my industry, there are a lot of people who work in various parts of the country, and they have good lawyers and good attorneys who understand the tax code. And some of them work in the mutual fund business and the hedge fund business, and are able to figure out how to make their incomes kind of convert to capital gains. They call it carried interest. It's a big word. All it means is your income, like you get taxed at your personal income tax rates up to 35%, sometimes a little higher, and then when you throw in the state of Iowa, it can get up to 45%. Well, these guys and gals manage to manipulate the system and play Monopoly well and get it down to about 23 or 24 at most. So that system needs to go out the window along with that CEO. But I truly believe that the opportunity is there this time. I don't know if it'll be next time, but this time for somebody like me, because I speak their language. I understand what they're talking about. When you talk about budgets, budgets are simply priorities. And when you talk about deficits, you know what's interesting about our deficit? Our deficit used to represent about 10 years ago, about 10% of the gross product that this country creates. It's down to 2.5% now. You don't hear that in the news, do you? You don't hear the lines going up this way, and actually life's improving. And that's what happened back in the 90s with President Clinton. You know, you can argue one way or the other, the Clinton, bad or good. There was issues that I agree and don't agree with how, but most of all, economically, he did great things for this country. And those same things are going to happen again if we do certain things like, how about an infrastructure program that addresses the failing highways in this country? Mr. Young decided to throw out the highway bill that was bipartisan just because of their system of obstructionism. So that you're going to have somebody in there that won't do it. Obviously, I have to get your vote to get in there to do that. So the last thing I want to share with you is an attitude I have about politics. And I'm asking for your vote because I think I'm the most qualified person in this race. Not because of my age, because I'm 64. It has nothing to do with it. I know 20-year-olds that are more mature than 64-year-olds. I'll bet most of you do too. But let me explain something to you. For too long, the Republican Party has defined what we are as Democrats. In the animal kingdom, this is a quote, I have it on my office at work. In the animal kingdom, it's eat or be eaten, right? That's the nature of Darwinism. In politics, it's define or be defined. So if we don't define ourselves, they will define us, which they've done for the last 50 years, since, actually since the Roosevelt. So what's happening now? You remember the last 10, 15, 20 years? We used to actually call each other, well, we call each other now, most of the time, progressives. I'm a Democrat. I think of myself as a progressive. But we also used to call ourselves liberal, didn't we? And that term now is somehow dark, on the dark side. Well, I'll tell you what. If I'm a person that believes in equal pay for equal work, call me a liberal. If I'm a person that believes in treating people fairly in the workplace and raising the minimum wage to a livable wage, and that's a liberal, call me a liberal. And if I'm a person that believes that each individual should go as far as they possibly can with the gifts that they're given in this society, and that the government should be run to provide the most benefits to the most people in this country in a way that they do the best job, if that's a liberal, I'm a liberal. And I don't mind telling everybody that. I'm not going to apologize for what I am. They can define me anyway. I don't care. See, I got this business background, but I'm not oriented toward business solely, because I'm not an enemy of business. I believe in it because economic growth is important, and that's how we build this nation. So I ask you, June 7th, think about it. Look at my history. Look what I've done with my life. Look at what my family has and how I lived my life. And also realize you live out here, most of you in rural Iowa. We, where I came from in urban Iowa, need to understand rural Iowa more. Absolutely need to. And once we start changing our attitudes and your attitudes about urban Iowa, it's communication that needs to improve. And I firmly believe in that. Just because you live in a big city or the country doesn't mean those people are better or worse than each other. We're Iowans, and we need to work together to work out. And that really has a whole philosophical base in how we treat environment, because I'm very much a scientific-based person. There is climate change without question, but it determines how we think about things. I have no interest in going into a room and screaming and hollering just to obstruct something, to stop it. It doesn't work for me. I have an interest in going in a room, sitting down with somebody and saying, there are people that need our help. What do we need to do to get something done? And then work incrementally. I tell this story about, if I'm ever able to do anything, and they say, why do you even want to run for this office, Sherzan? Why do you even want to do this? You don't have the ability to do anything there. They're all rotten, the lowest. They use different words. I had one guy, I won't even tell you what he called me because I'm a Democrat. But I believe this. If I benefit one human being, take your fingernail, scratch it on granite, and guess what? Eventually you're going to get a scratch on that granite. And that's what I believe. Because just making the effort separates you from so many people. And I still believe in this country. I still believe in the American dream. And that's why I'm asking for your vote. And I'll answer any questions you have about me now. Thank you.